me say, my credo is that I've received far too much credit for our excursion. I should wallow in it, but I'm just a little bit ashamed to take all the credit. Really, it belongs to the outpouring of love and affection and responsiveness that citizens all along the way in Erlanger and here in Chattanooga have shown us. When Baron Erlanger himself was here in 1889, he said, "I cannot say too much in praise of America." I paraphrase, I cannot say too much in praise of Erlanger Health System. We toured Children's Hospital today, and I must say it is an uplifting experience. I don't really have words to describe it. It is a magnificent return, wonderful interest on a very small deposit 120 years ago by the Baron. I know that I just can't imagine a finer response than what he did. Let me say it's true, I made a few phone calls and kind of put this journey together. It started in New Orleans last March, and of course was interrupted by a family tragedy for many. And we resolved that we would continue the journey in October. And here we are, we're back, we're doing what we said we would do. We came from the southern end of the Cleveland Crescent Line put together by her great-grandfather to the northern end, which of course is at Erlanger, Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati. And then we came here to the center of the line where the hospital was built. It's been my pleasure, really, to travel with Minnie and Simon on this trip. And it's true that I met her not through accident, but by ruthlessly tracking her down, not through the Erlanger side, but through the Slidell side. I am hoping to write, I will write a biography and history of the Slidell family, John Slidell of Louisiana, and his siblings, and their descendants. As you know, John's daughter Matilda met and was married by Baron Erlanger in Paris, and in response, the Baron built his railroad. You know all that part of the story. Let me tell you a little bit about Slidells, since apparently they don't seem to be all that well known. John was a failed merchant. He tried as a young man to live up to what his father had done, rising from a tallow chandler in New York City to becoming a president of a bank, then president of an insurance company. John didn't make it. He left for, shall we say, more fertile ground in Louisiana when it became a new frontier after we bought Louisiana. And here he thrived. He was the eldest of 8 siblings. Number 2 was Jane Slidell. She was married by Matthew Calbraith Perry, who opened, quote unquote, Japan to trade in 1853. They had 10 or 11 children. One you would probably know is the next to youngest, and her name was Carolyn Slidell Perry. She married Auguste Belmont, the financier, another financier from Europe, and she was the leader of society in New York during the Gilded Age. A third sibling was Alexander Slidell, a brother who was a Navy captain. More about him at some point in the future. And he was followed by Anne Slidell, who presents a very interesting study. She never married. After her parents died and the family at home in New York broke up, she had no trade, of course, and you kind of wonder, how does a lady like her live? So I kind of followed her for a little bit of a way, and she moved from family to family and was always well received. She was Aunt Anne to everyone. I am grateful to her because of her letters. They tell me a whole lot about the Slidell family, all of it because she traveled from one to another. And she was very devout. She would not tolerate any work on Sunday. She did not want to receive letters written by others on Sundays. Their younger brother was Thomas Slidell, who many said it before I did, but I think I feel the same way, that he was the best of the Slidells. He was a very kind man, very learned man. He was the first elected Chief Justice of the state of Louisiana. That would be in 1853. I am, as a side project, am randomly collecting the decisions he wrote while he was on the Supreme Court. I wish I could find a law student who wants to do a dissertation, because that would be a wonderful topic. Thomas came to a tragic end in 1856 in that very nasty election, which involved the Kansas-Nebraska Act and the admission of Kansas to the Union. As you know, the fight was whether it was going to be a slave state or a free state, and there was violence at the polls. Hired thugs brought in. Thomas Slidell was trying to preserve peace at one of the polls in New Orleans. Was attacked by a thug, struck in the head, never really recovered. Lingered painfully for 8 years. His wife finally took him to Newport, where he passed on. Newport, Rhode Island, that is, and where he passed on.